Hello again. This is eNCA on DSTV channel 403. I'm Dan Moyane. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, government is saying it's engaging with a number of countries so that they can lift their travel restrictions on South Africa. Since news of the new Omicron variant broke last week, nearly 90 major restrictions are in place. They include countries like Australia, the EU, United States, and the United Kingdom. British politician Lord Peter Hain has been adding his voice in calling for the UK government to take South Africa off its red list. He's going to be joining us now from London. But before I have the conversation with him, let's take a listen to some of the outrage over the global response to the travel bans against South Africa. Now, here's a snippet from Stephen Colbert from his show, The Colbert Report.
We're all lucky that South Africa alerted us to the dangers of Omicron. And thanks to them, the White House issued a ban on travel from 8 countries in southern Africa. Well, that's good. I mean, you've got to contain the virus. So far, it's only been found in the southern African countries of Austria, Belgium, Canada, Czech Republic, Denmark, France, Germany, Hong Kong, Israel, Italy, Japan, Netherlands, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, and the United Kingdom. Oh, my God. That's most of It's a Small World.
Well, the point is very well made there. Lord Peter Hain, I see you smiling as you listen to that. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking he has a very good point. He's made it in a witty way, but he has a very good point indeed. And I read also recently that Nigeria apparently discovered this variant of COVID, the Omicron, back in October. So, if not earlier. So, it seems to me that South Africa has been made a scapegoat in this because you have world-class scientists and epidemiologists. You discovered this variant, made an assessment of it and reported it to the World Health Organization and to the world. And immediately you had all these penalties slapped on the country. And I think it would have been far better if the British government and indeed the United States government and others had discussed it with the president and the health minister in South Africa and come to a considered view. Now, look, I understand why Boris Johnson, in a way, acted so immediately, because he was rightly severely criticized by virtually everybody in Britain for failing to put restrictions on travelers from India who came across and injected the Delta variant, which is the dominant variant or has been in South Africa, like Britain, injected it into the United Kingdom, when he was warned about it, he should have closed the entry to travelers from India, and that spread it like wildfire. Yeah. So I can quite understand why he reacted quickly and decisively at one level, because he didn't want to be criticized in the way that he justifiably was and rightly was for a failure to act quickly over the Delta variant. But I do think South Africa has been singled out for punishment at a crucial time for the tourism industry in a way that's quite unjustified. And there should have been proper engagement
and everybody,
in order to...
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Hain, and everybody who's been commenting in the last few days has made the very point we are making. Even here earlier, I was speaking to one industry that's been suffering because of this in the country, and just when people are looking forward to a recovery of sorts with the economy, the knee-jerk reaction meant, as you said, there was no engagement, unfortunately, no discussions, but now we are where we are. But the flip side of that, it could lead to secrecy in future when other countries and everybody else, because they've seen how the Western world reacts, that people will keep quiet, which is not what we want.
No, you have a very fair point, Dan. And as the United States commentator pointed out so wittily earlier on in that clip, it has been discovered right across Europe and in many other parts of the world. And if there had been the kind of testing capacity and scientific capability that South Africa has, having dealt with TB and HIV/AIDS and developed this incredible scientific world-class capability, if other countries had that, maybe they'd have announced that they'd discovered this variant earlier as well, and then they would have been targeted. So I don't think he should be punished for doing the right thing, as South Africa did. And I would have wanted from the rich West a far more engaged and considered request. And the other thing that is really, really unjustifiable about this is, of course, what Boris Johnson's just announced is another massive rushed program for 100 million vaccines. Well, where are the vaccines being provided in the quantity that should be provided across Africa, including South Africa, by the rich West, and to make sure that there are enough vaccinations for everybody in the world? Because all the leaders of the world say, none of us are safe until everybody's safe. That's been the slogan and the mantra. But what do? They hoard all the vaccines for themselves instead of making sure that they distributed right around the world, including to countries.
That's a very good point that's been made, and we're still experiencing it, as you've just said. Now we've seen this announcement by Boris Johnson. But before we end, Mr. Hain, how does South Africa get off the red list? Because what we're hearing now, is that the word coming out of the UK government is, as soon as it is possible to do so, South Africa will be removed from the red list. Now that we know that Omicron has been around in other parts of the world longer than when South Africa announced it was here, how does South Africa get off that red list? Because South Africa and the UK are biggest trading partners still today.
Well, absolutely. And I had to write a detailed letter with expert input from South African tourism industry and others to ensure that Boris Johnson understood why South Africa needed to come off the red list a couple of months ago, because that was wholly unjustified for the country to be on there. And I explained that all, and now it looks as if it's going to have to be done again. But I do think there should be pressure from South Africa, as I know there is, from the government and from others, on the British government to just say, hang on, this is not logical. It's no good reacting in this kind of knee-jerk fashion. You could impose all sorts of restrictions on incoming visitors from South Africa or other countries in terms of being vaccinated and in terms of having PCR tests before they travel, and all those kind of things could be deployed to try and control this. But what you now have is draconian imposition at no notice at all, which is killing the tourism industry. Because I think there are over 30,000 British visitors were due to come to South Africa in this immediate period over the wonderful summer holidays, over the Christmas period, that many British visitors, as I've done, come to South Africa because of its wonderful opportunities to enjoy the country. And of course, that's not going to happen at huge cost. So I think the British government should think again quickly and work out with the South African government how to manage this in a joint way that is best for both countries, rather than simply punishing South Africa in this fashion.
Lord Peter Hain, once again, thank you very much for your time and here on eNCA and some of the insights you're giving there. More pressure should be applied, he says, by the South African government and other, of course, role players on the UK government to remove the country from this unjustified red list.